Welcome to another edition of the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here, as always. Somehow, some way, we've made it to May 14th. I barely made it here today. Had some bad milk in my hot chocolate. Threw up for the first time and got to be, gosh, I don't know, 10, 15 years? When's the last time you threw up as an adult?
Well, I had norovirus a few months back.
Excuse me?
I had norovirus.
You had norovirus and didn't tell us?
I did tell you.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You came into work every day with the most contagious disease since smallpox?
No. What happened
you are
was
something special.
No, I told you about that.
Norovirus?
Friday is when it kicked in. I didn't leave the house after I got home Friday.
Were you here
time.
on Friday?
I was here that Friday.
So you exposed me and everybody else to norovirus.
This was in November.
Great, thanks.
This was in November.
Maybe that's what I got now.
From November?
Maybe it's been sitting there waiting.
No.
Like a sleeper cell, waiting to attack us on our own soil.
You should be really giving me credit for the toughness. I was in the house all of Friday, all of Saturday, all of Sunday. The next time I left the house was to come here Monday.
Yeah, you shouldn't have.
It moves quick.
I've got a rule. If you've got the norovirus, you stay home.
I would have. There was no shows those days.
Why were there no shows those days? Was it Thanksgiving or something?
Saturday and Sunday there were no shows.
Yeah, but Monday you didn't go to a doctor. That changes our whole relationship now. Here I am trying to show some vulnerability, bare my soul to the audience. 20 minutes ago, I was on my knees in a public bathroom, vomiting my brains out because the bagel store across the street gave me bad milk in my hot chocolate.
Well, go to the other one. Go to the other one.
I got Ethan not getting me my Pepto-Bismol. And I'm sitting here in the bathroom dying, wondering if anybody cares. Now I know the answer.
We care.
Selfish bastards I work with.
We care.
Across the board. Selfish, selfish, selfish.
So anyway, you asked when the last time I threw up. I gave you an honest answer in November when I had the norovirus.
Really? I haven't thrown up in over a decade.
It was a both-end situation. It was rough for me.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it could happen at any moment right now.
Well, I got you.
There's a garbage can over there.
You can make it.
But then I feel like you haven't prepared a show without me today, and what are you going to do?
We discussed what we would do if you weren't here.
Yeah, I came back up from vomiting, and nobody was here. I'm like, what are the guys having a show meeting without me?
I went down to the restroom.
Oh, did you hear me in there?
No.
You didn't hear me in there?
You were going by then, I think.
Yeah, not good at all. By the way, today's a very special day. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make it, to be honest. But today's a very special day.
All right.
It's just not good. It's like it's dying to come out again. I thought I got all the milk out. There's still milk in there for sure. Today's NFL schedule release day. I got to be honest, I got a little issue with it, Tyrone.
Okay.
Because the NFL makes a big deal out in prime time tonight at 8 o'clock. They're going to be announcing every team's schedule, okay?
Yep.
But 2 days ago, they released the international schedule.
Yes.
And in the last 48 hours, there have been a bunch of leaks, some accurate, some not accurate. And I'm saying to myself, if you're going to make us wait till 8 o'clock tonight for the NFL schedule release event, then make us wait. Right?
Yes.
Because yesterday on the show, I was quoting somebody else who claimed that they had inside information, not me, I didn't have any, that the New York Jets are going to open up against the Miami Dolphins in week 1 and the Minnesota Vikings in week 2.
Yeah.
And we did a whole segment on the Jets are 2-0. Mm-hmm. They're not opening up against the Miami Dolphins.
They're not.
And they're not playing the Vikings in week 2 as far as I know. The New York Jets, according to Jordan Schultz, are opening up against the Tennessee Titans and their former head coach, Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
Well, that changes everything.
In Tennessee.
In Tennessee.
That's what's out there.
So I'm saying to myself, how could the NFL foolbar that? Right?
Well, yeah.
The NFL makes a big deal about 8 o'clock tonight. Mm-hmm. And then they just start leaking out games.
Left and right.
Half the leaks aren't right. Half the leaks are right. I have no idea who the hell I'm playing and when I'm playing them, other than I trust Jordan Schultz. So Jets-Titans now.
Yeah, and so let me ask you, Craig. Well, we won't go to week 2 yet, but you had so much confidence.
Yes.
Now, despite your, compromised health,
yes,
do you feel the Jets are now 1-0? You're not playing a great Titans team.
It's a good question. I also have a great friendship with Robert Saleh.
You do?
I like Robert Saleh. I respect Robert Saleh.
He got a raw deal probably, and I think he'll do well there, but do they have the players?
He's also got 8 kids. Too many kids.
I know. My man doesn't stop.
It's too many kids.
A lot of kids.
By the way, just sidebarring that, it's too many kids. It's enough. Stop.
How do you travel? If you're not, most people don't travel private.
He's got a Sprinter.
No, I'm talking about like if you're going to go to Disney World. A lot of people, their dream is take the kids to Disney World. Where do you put them? You got 8 kids, and where do you put them? All on the plane. Where do you put them?
And I go, it's enough. It's obnoxious. It's too many people. It's like I got too many. It's enough.
And I will say, You love all your kids.
I love my kids dearly. I love them all the same.
You've
too many people.
You've always thought it was too many people.
I was good after 2.
And Kim did not agree.
Kim wanted 9.
Yes, Kim did not agree.
Yeah, it's like she became Mormon or something overnight, or I don't know what it is, or Orthodox or something like that. There's certain segments of the population, Tyrone, that believe in more kids.
Yes, I do know that.
Orthodox Jews love having kids.
Yes,
I believe.
I was told that.
I believe in the Middle East. I'm not sure if it's a Muslim thing or what, but they believe in a lot of kids too.
Mm-hmm. And then you have people like
I got too many kids. I'm not even gonna lie to you about it.
Nick Cannon has 12.
Nick Cannon's got more wives or baby mamas than he's got even kids, I think, at this point.
I think Cam Newton has 8 or 9.
Yeah, it's like at some point, it's too many people running around the house.
It's too many.
Like, I need some peace and quiet every once in a while.
Well, at least yours are getting older now.
Yeah, I got 3 of them out of the house, one of them still in the house. And then, like, yesterday, it's like, how do you do this? I just stop talking. You talk so much. All you people talk. It's like, oh, it's nonstop talking. In any event, so the Jets open up against the Titans. That's a win. Let's just call it the way it is. Like, I love Robert Saleh. I think Robert Saleh is a far better coach than AG is. But the Titans still are the Titans. I know the game's on the road, and they're opening up a brand new building in Tennessee. All the circumstance and hoopla, and I could see the Titans playing a great game. And I'm a big Cam Ward guy, but you asked me a fair question. 1-0.
1-0.
See, 1-0.
See, I don't care for this. I don't
1-0.
I don't care for this. This is your
positive, Craig.
Too positive about your teams.
1-0. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Eagles open up the season 0-1 as they have to play against the Washington Commandos. The game is in Philadelphia, but I got a bad feeling about the Eagles this year. I think Eagles are going to have a very, very tough year this year. They're in Dallas on Thanksgiving. They're opening up against a division rival in Washington. Giants have the Cowboys just to
keep it all
the division straight.
Even,
so everybody plays each other at least in the first week. But I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy. As you know, probably the biggest Jalen Hurts supporter in America who's not an Eagle fan. I'm starting to get a sensation, and I'm not sure if it's the vomit or the bad milk. I think the Eagles are getting off to a slow start this year.
See, this is what you want to happen because
I do, by the way.
It would make you happy if that happened, just like it would make you happy that the Jets would win. But let's be honest now. One team's over-under number is 5.5.
That's the Jets.
The other team that you're talking about.
What's the Titans over-under number?
Oh, I have to look it up now. I didn't know we were going to talking about that.
You're going to take a shot at me saying the Jets are going to win week 1.
My team has an over-under 10.5.
That's fine. They should. They went to the playoffs.
No. You're talking that they're going to have a slow start.
They are going to have a slow start. I'm just because Vegas is 10.5 doesn't mean Vegas is right.
They're right.
Yeah, Vegas is wrong more than they're right.
Oh, Tennessee, 6.5. 0-1 for the Jets. And this is the point, okay? Let's calm down. It's May. When the schedule comes out, though, see what Craig's doing? Craig's doing something that he's actually against. He doesn't even realize.
Holding back my vomit?
No, that you're for. Because you don't. We only got a minute and a half now. But what you're doing.
Wait, by the way, when you say to a guy that's holding back vomit, it's only 90 seconds. You only got to hold it in for another 90 seconds. Let me just speak for America here. Your 90 seconds right now
is 10 years.
And my 90 seconds
totally different.
Could not be more different than it is right now in the moment.
Yes.
Because I'm 5 seconds away from making a beeline to that public bathroom and saying, have a good show.
Listen, you are, the point is you're doing your W's and L's. And that's what you don't want people to do.
No, because it's boring.
W's and L's. Right, but you're doing it.
I'm only doing it for week 1.
You're only doing it for week 1.
You're only doing it for week 1. So why don't you take us to break? I apologize very much to the audience.
Yeah.
But the milk is not out of my body, and it's not.
It's all good.
This is not going to go well, so I'm going to go.
And this is not a bit, people. Craig's going through something. Hopefully he gets well very soon. All right. This is what we're going to do on the other side while Craig is indisposed. We're going to bring up the international schedule and the Thanksgiving schedule and what we have in the NFL so far, and then we'll go from there here on the Craig Carton Show. Again, when it's live, you never know what's going to happen. And I do want to say for all Jets fans, and maybe it's because I'm bitter at the Knicks, you might not win more than 3 games, period. Be very careful striking W's when the schedule comes out tonight because you're not going to win many games because you're still the city of losers. back to the Craig Carton Show. Craig had to run out with a little health issue. We'll see if he'll return, but let's continue as we were going to go. And I mentioned before in the last segment that we'll get into the NFL schedule. 8 p.m. is officially the schedule release, but we're getting the dribs and drabs. We're getting the leaks, and I don't know if we like them or don't like them, but let's start with the international games in case people are not up to date. Let's start there. Now, we have the Unfair Bowl to start, where they're making the players fly all the way to Australia. No fans asked for this. Rams fans didn't ask for that. 49ers fans didn't ask for this. Australia in general didn't ask for this. No one in the NFL asked for this. But week one, we actually get a real matchup that's worth watching. Two teams that we think are going to be in the mix and the division rivals. All the way in Melbourne, Australia, as you can see, you have the 49ers and the Rams. Again, we're going to watch it. I want to be clear. I'm not better than anybody else. We're all suckers. We're all going to watch these games no matter what time they put them. But seriously, who asked for this? No one did. Let's move on. Week 3, another good matchup. But again, I don't know what NFL fans said. You know what? For Ravens Dallas, it wouldn't be better if it was in Baltimore or Dallas where the fans can see it. Let's put it in Rio de Janeiro. So you have that game. That'll be week 3. Now you have weeks 4, 5, and 6. They now shift over to London. Now, look at that. Look at that. Sitting there. And Craig's all happy in Rio. And again, fine. And I don't think the Cowboys should be in big games. I've already been on the record like that. And some Cowboys fans will, what about the history? I don't care about your ancient history. Stop trying to convince me that you're important. I already said you're not. Okay, you're not going to convince me that you're important. All right, you have a stinker alert game in London, you have the Colts and the Commanders. I don't know anybody that cares about this game, and already one of those teams could be out of the mix. That's not a great game. You have the Eagles at Jacksonville, technically, as Jacksonville is back-to-back weeks there, as you can see. And then you have the Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville, why are they still playing in Jacksonville? Don't you have a perfectly good city like where you could put somebody else? Isn't there some other place where they could go? No one cares about football in Jacksonville. That's why back-to-back home games are over in London. Then it goes over to Paris, France, because Lord knows the people in Paris really care. Look at Trevor Lawrence before we move on. Look at Trevor Lawrence there. Look at him. And look at this. Aaron Rodgers in Gay Paris to face the Saints. I guess they're doing, since it's French part of Louisiana and the whole Creole thing, you put that game in Paris. Again, I don't know anybody who asked for this. Record number of international games. This is what the people want. Based on what? Based on what? And by the way, we're getting up to watch football at 9:30 in the morning. Nobody had anything to do. What about all the work that the men and women have to work extra on Saturday? On Saturday nights. They're working to put braces on the kids, to pay for private school, to pay for gas, as expensive as it is. But no, 9:30 a.m. is when we want football. That makes perfect sense. Let's go over to Madrid, Spain now, where you have the Bengals and the Falcons on the international schedule. Because, again, look at that. The running of the Bulls. The running of the Bulls. Am I the only one that always root for the Bull? Every time? Like, every time I see a person take a horn in the buttocks, I go, well, there you go. And when they pass away, I go, well, at least, you want to always be able to say at the funeral, they passed away, they died doing what they love to do, being stupid, just being an idiot. Let's go over to Munich, to Germany, which is a whole nother thing, being that we're doing the show from New York. I personally know a bunch of people quite uncomfortable. And as you see Craig and I there, oh, look at that, Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel having a beer. Romantic thing. And listen, I'm not going to block their consenting adults. I would probably take pictures because I could probably make some money from it, but good for those kids. They're in Munich, Germany. And then finally, San Francisco, after already having to go to Melbourne, now has to travel down to Mexico City and take on the Minnesota Vikings. So that's the international slate if you're not up to date on that. Quickly, let's shift over now to what just came out in the last 24 hours, maybe the last 12 hours, and that's the Thanksgiving slate of games. Now, we already know that they're making San Francisco go to both Australia and Mexico City. We already know that the Rams already have to go all the way to Australia, and now they got to play on a Wednesday. Because now, Thanksgiving Eve, the biggest bar day in all of America, well, there'll be a football game on because you have Packers versus the Rams on that day. Again, we're all going to watch it, but raise your hand if you said, you know what, NFL? You already have Thursday. We have a bunch of Saturdays late in the year. We have Monday. We have Sunday. I love Wednesday football. Those are the days. Not a single hand is up. So we have that. Thanksgiving Day, you get the traditional games. You have the Bears and the Lions. You have the Eagles and the Cowboys. And then the night game. By then, it feels pretty good that Patrick Mahomes will be back. You get a perhaps AFC Championship preview. So this is a great game in the Chiefs and the Bills, and that's the traditional Thursday night football game. And then on Black Friday, because again, you got to have football every single day and no shopping or anything like that, you then get the Broncos and the Steelers. And here's the question for everybody. What does the NFL want to do then if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play for the Steelers? We want to see Mason Rudolph on Black Friday? Do we want to see that? So that's all. They have that already, and then we'll get the rest of the schedule at the end. Now, I want to say something right now that people are going to say, oh, Tyrone, you're making a hot take or whatever. I believe that every empire comes to an end, okay? Whether you go throughout history, Hannibal climbing with the elephants over the mountain into Italy. You want to talk about the Greek or the Roman Empire. Every empire ends at some point. And many times it's either disease or greed that takes down any great empire. I believe the NFL is still number one and going to be number one, but I think we're starting to see the thing that's going to make the NFL empire eventually crumble. And what I mean by crumble is baseball was the number one sport in America for a long time. And then the NFL came and usurped it. And on Sunday, church was number one for a long time, and the NFL came and usurped it. I'm going to say this right now. Putting these games everywhere, on all these streaming platforms, on all these days, is eventually going to be the thing that crumbles the NFL empire. They're making unlimited money. We're all going to watch, but that doesn't last forever. These kind of scheduled things that they do, where the point of football is the scarcity. The scarcity of football is what makes football special, in my opinion. It's not like baseball. It's not like the other sports. By making it less scarce, they're making it less special. And while the money's rolling in, eventually they're going to take away the thing, the urgency that makes us love it. And this will be the way that the NFL empire eventually falls. And I know it might sound like a hot take, but trust me, they're making a mistake.
Over the summer where there's drastic changes and gas drops down to $3 a gallon, $2.50 a gallon in some states, and then you have some of the price markets go down. You ride that momentum is what Joe's talking about. So if you say right now, which party will win the U.S. House, and you think it's the Republicans currently trading at 20%, you take them now, and if good press comes, that turns into 25% and 30%, then you have the option to cash out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
There is a pick tonight that Gabe has that, to some degree, I find completely outrageous. Then I looked at it a second longer, and it might be a really smart angle.
I like to test them a little bit. I like to test them a little bit.
I like that a lot.
Oh, you don't know? You don't know this team name? You should. You're in the sports business.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Number one, who asked for this? Nobody, but nobody asked for a bump up in the number of teams in both the men and the women's basketball tournament from 68, including the 4 play-in teams, to 76. And by the way, it looks like it is a near-done deal. ESPN and ABC News reported this morning that's very close to being done. It could be announced by the end of this week.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
to the Craig Carton Show. Tyron Johnson here as well. Now that you've gone through the international schedule, did you see how you mentioned the Cincinnati Bengals have an international game?
Yes.
But you know how that came about?
I do not. How did they?
It's interesting how the NFL curries favor to some guys.
Okay.
The only reason the Cincinnati Bengals are playing an international game this year is because Joe Burrow demanded it. The Cincinnati Bengals have never played an international game since Joe Burrow became their starting quarterback. And he has felt like, I do a lot or try to do a lot to grow the sport internationally. I don't know how.
What the hell does he do?
But that's what he said.
Is he talking about dating international models?
So he reached out to the NFL and said, I want an international game. And the NFL heard that and said, all right, we'll give you an international game. That's why the Cincinnati Bengals are playing over in Europe this year. That's the kind of juice now that Joe Burrow has. And I was looking at Joe Burrow's career. Has Joe Burrow earned the juice? And I think the answer is no.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And here's the funny thing, Craig. The analysts love him. Like the guys that break down film on TV, and there's many of these guys, they love him. But he's rarely in the playoffs, and he's never won.
He's rarely on the field.
Yeah.
Is the other problem.
That too.
But, when he went into Arrowhead and beat the Cincinnati Bengals and wound up going to a Super Bowl, damn near won the Super Bowl against the Rams that year, the reality is that Joe Burrow overnight became a rock star.
Yep.
And by the way, when Joe Burrow's healthy and plays,
great.
We all agree he's a top 5 quarterback. It's not about his talent. It's about his availability. Joe Burrow's never available. It's always one injury after another injury. And I was thinking about it while I was throwing up just now. And I was thinking about Joe Burrow, smoking on that Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow does not have the gravitas yet where he should be demanding that the Cincinnati Bengals have an international game. Joe Burrow is never ready to play. Joe Burrow is always hurt. Joe Burrow misses the playoffs more than he makes the playoffs. Joe Burrow, while again, when healthy, which is rare, and on the field, which is rare, is a great quarterback. But at some point, don't we have to kind of relook at the Joe Burrow career and say, flash in the pan?
Yes, and to that point, the last time he was in the postseason, and by the way, he's had 2 seasons since then in which he played every regular season game, just to be clear.
Go ahead.
Since then, he hasn't been to playoffs since 2022.
23, no playoffs. 24, no playoffs. 25, no playoffs.
I mean, that's it. And he played all the games. Like, 2022, he played all the games. 2024, he played all 17 games.
Yeah, last year he didn't.
Last year he did, but but again, he led the league in yards, but they didn't make the postseason.
Yeah, bad defense. They're going to say bad offensive line.
Yeah, but still,
he's got 2 great wide receivers. Right? And yeah, the defense hasn't been great. The offensive line hasn't been great. But Joe Burrow is also not the guy. As good as we've seen him play, like I was thinking about it in the bathroom, like, for all the heat we give other quarterbacks, why don't we give Joe Burrow any heat? Joe Burrow gets no smoke at all.
None.
Now, I'm not sure if it's because we think his girlfriend's hot. She is, all right? Although she calls herself, what's that word you got? When you have sex with a tree, a guy or a girl. Yeah.
Pansexual.
She's pansexual.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
You know what it means.
Pansexual?
That's right.
You know what pansexual means?
Well, I've been told what it means. I didn't know organically.
Like there's dudes and there's girls.
Yeah, but
bisexual, I understand that.
Yeah.
Some people like both.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Whatever floats your boat. Pansexual?
All right. So since we're in New York, there's all kinds of people up here. We agree?
Yes.
Okay. Let's say you went out to the bar that's right near our studio.
Okay.
Right? And you saw what you appeared to be a lovely woman. She had breasts and the whole shebang.
Okay.
But then
had a junk.
Right.
Where am I? In the Philippines?
You're in New York City.
Okay.
In theory, she would be down with that too. Now, I don't know if you are bi, if you would be down with that. Pansexual would also be down with that.
Got it.
So that's where it makes it. I'm telling you why it's another term. This is what I was told. Is that whatever equipment you have, but however you are presenting yourself, she could still be attracted to you if she felt the connection.
Yeah, to me, that's a deal breaker. Sorry.
I know. But to people who are pansexual,
especially like
it
when
might
you're
not be.
like if you're Joe Burrow, you can get anybody you want. He's a good-looking guy. Yeah. All right, he's got some weird dress habits. Okay, good-looking dude.
And he has her.
He's worth a lot of money.
And he has her.
But like, if I'm him, this is another problem I got with Joe Burrow. There's something wrong with Joe Burrow. First off, Joe Burrow never plays. Number two, Joe Burrow never plays. And number three, why are you dating a girl that likes chicks with dicks?
Oh my God, she likes everything.
Yeah.
She likes everything.
I don't know. That's okay for her.
Right.
But
he doesn't have to mess with the ball.
That's not okay for me.
He messes with her.
I'm sorry, Joe Burrow. You could get another Victoria's Secret model. There's tons of them. I'm down on Joe Burrow. I'm out on Joe Burrow. Carton Show, Tyron Johnson here as well. 10 years ago today, Dwight Gooden threw a no-hitter for the New York Yankees. Okay?
Not 10 years ago.
Okay? How many years ago was it?
30.
30 years ago. Oh, yeah, that doesn't make sense 10 years ago. Yeah. 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Dwight Gooden threw a no-hitter as a New York Yankee.
It's cool.
But do you know what happened 8 years ago today that changed the sports landscape forever? And for some people, for the better. For other people, not for the better. I guess for the worse. 8 years ago today, if you had to take a guess. And
2018. The heck
8
happened?
years ago today, May 14th, the sports world took a change forever. The horse is out of the barn, as they say. Pandora is out of the box, as they say. And it's never being put back in. And I'm not doing this to embarrass you or to suggest you should
Is this
know.
a sports gambling thing?
Oh, Tyrone A. Johnson from the cheap seats. 8 years ago today. Shows you I got 9 guys producing the show. Nobody brought me this today. They're all fired. All right, including Jackson, the new guy. Tell me he's out too. All right, lousy producer that he is. Got people telling me, hey, do you want to talk about Caitlin Clark again today? No. Do you want to talk about Caitlin Clark got married or engaged? No.
She didn't get engaged.
But nobody, none of you downstairs. You've all failed, Tyrone and I, today.
What happened?
8 years ago today, the Supreme Court of the United States of America. Some people refer to it as SCOTUS. Supreme Court of the United States of America.
I've heard that.
Really, it should be SCOTUSA as opposed to SCOTUS, but that's neither here nor there. Said that it's up to the states. If you want to let people gamble on sports, it's up to you. 8 years ago today.
I'm going to say that it's a net negative for sports. It is. Now.
And I disagree with you.
You think it's a net positive?
Yes.
Okay, why?
Well, I'm sorry. I'm still regurgitating.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I apologize.
All right, while you do that real fast, this is why I think it's a net negative.
Go ahead.
I think that one of the things that's important for sports is a certain amount of civic pride in that most of the time you're from New York, you pick one of your New York teams and that's who you root for, and that happens in cities all over the country.
Which is why I like the Dallas Cowboy Lions. They're always out of whack.
Right, for that reason, because they're everywhere.
More fans,
right, they're everywhere. What I don't like about the gambling is, and I think that since it's only been 8 years, we have not seen all the repercussions.
No, we've not.
I think, and I'm not just talking about, we be gambling on everything as it is and the issues that you've been so, you've talked about at great length. I'm talking about now you have a generation coming up that doesn't have that civic pride that comes with sports.
That's right.
They just root for players or their money.
My kids are a testament to that.
And I think that that's a dangerous game long term for every franchise if you don't have that built-in loyalty.
Tyrod's point is if you have money on the game, your fandom changes.
Yep.
Right? Your fandom becomes who you have your money on. And if you wind up betting on Steph Curry every night and Steph Curry delivers for you every night, you very quickly become a Steph Curry fan.
Right.
And while you may have grown up a Knicks fan, all of a sudden you watch every Golden State game. So it's this disparate fandom there, which you're not wrong about that at all. I think there's a lot of truth to that. It's a net positive for me because when you hear all these leagues, and I guess I've got to separate, it's a net positive for the leagues, it's probably a net negative for fans.
Okay.
Because there's a certain percentage of them, about 2%, that are going to become problem gamblers, and that's a living hell that you don't want to deal with if you do go down that road. I've lived it, right? It's a net positive because when people have money on games, and this is like the research they've done, I wish I could quote the actual research. I apologize, I do not have it in front of me, but I can speak to it because I live in that world. Fans watch games longer.
Really?
Fans watch games more when they have money on the outcome of the game. And from a sports perspective, they're always fighting for more eyeballs and then to get those eyeballs to watch for a longer period of time. Well, it's intrinsic evidence now. It's tangible proof that people that wager on sports watch more sports. People that wager on sports watch sports for a longer period of time than people that do not have money on the outcome of games. So from a league perspective, and I actually talked to Adam Silver and Gary Bettman about this over the last month on my radio show, they acknowledge the fact that, especially for them, less hockey than basketball, in-game wagering, what they call live wagering, is there going to be, what happens on the next possession? What happens on the next pitch? Huge in baseball as well. Has actually, they believe, is the causal reason for their ratings being up.
I could buy that, and I have to even say on Friday for Game 3 of Sixers-Knicks, NBC I think had it. Whoever had the game, no, Prime had it.
Go ahead.
And Prime's been playing with they did the updates on the line. Now, the game got out of whack, so they stopped at some point. But the Sixers were, I forget, they were underdogs in the game. After the first quarter, when they started making shots, they started updating the lines, live odds during the game on Prime.
So put it this way. Let's say, that's a great example. Sixers-Knicks. Knicks are up 50 in the third quarter. Now, I'm not saying you, but a good percentage of people went, click, game's a wrap. And that's what many people did because it's a non-competitive game. Well, all of a sudden, if you're one of these people that's gambling,
you mean like who took the Sixers plus the 35 and they lost by 30?
Yeah.
So I won?
Right.
Something like that. I mean, that's what I did.
Whether it's that, whether it's the next possession, basket, no basket, turnover, you can bet on every part of it. Yeah, it's been great for the sports. The prediction market's great for the leagues because, again, while there are going to be problems associated with it, and the leagues claim to care about those problems, the leagues care more about how many eyeballs do I have, because the more eyeballs I get and the longer those eyeballs watch my sport, the more I can charge for advertising. So the reason I think it's a two-sided coin is that from a league perspective, right, it's a net positive. More eyeballs, more advertising revenue. And if we have to deal with the occasional, wayward player that wagers on the game, well, it's just one guy here, one guy there.
Right.
We don't think the integrity of the sport is really being damaged. And they might be right up to this date. There's going to come a point where there's a bigger scandal and the integrity is damaged, but they're making more money because of it.
Right. But think about long term. You went to the game with your son, and your son, you're a Knicks fan.
I was there game. I'm going to stop you there because it's a great example. The guy sitting to my left.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jalen Brunson in game 2 against the
Sixers.
The Sixers, pardon me.
He started slow in that game.
Yeah, he only had like 3-4 points in the first quarter, right? Mm-hmm. The guy sitting to my left goes right to his app. The over-under for Jalen Brunson for that game after the first quarter was 26.5 points.
Mm-hmm.
He took the over. Jalen Brunson scored 26 points in that game.
Right.
He lost his bet.
That's a tough one.
But in a game that very, very late, Knicks was up by a couple possessions.
It got away from him late.
That guy is eyeballs glued to the court.
Right. And I think individually you're correct. But your son, who's in his younger 20s, has been a fan his whole life, in large part because of you and living in the area.
Yeah.
Is it good? And Knicks fans took over Philadelphia. I hate it, but it happened, right? And Knicks fans are so passionate. Are we comfortable, though, with a generation of kids, a generation from now where they go, they're not rabid about the Knicks because they don't root for the Knicks, they root for their bets. And I think that could be an unintended consequence long term.
Yeah, well, I think, look, I don't think that part of it's necessarily generational because, like, if you're a diehard Sixers fan and you decide on a weekend to responsibly put $25, let's say, on the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you're not rooting for the Miami Heat.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're not a Sixers fan still.
Right.
It just means that night, you became a de facto Heat fan.
Right, but that's because I've always rooted for the Sixers. But what happens if a kid,
are you saying the next generation doesn't have the built-in fandom?
Doesn't have the built-in fandom, and now the Knicks could take over Philly, but they're too passive. They don't care as much as these fans are at maximum caring.
Yeah,
I feel like that could be diluted.
Yeah,
and
but
that's a concern of mine.
I think it will be. I think, for example, like maybe not my kids, but my kids for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Since gambling's not going away,
right?
Now, unless it's like a
Lucky's kids, Sonny's kids.
It's like I always thought like it was my job to make my kids Knicks fans, right?
Yeah.
Now my daughter was born.
My dad was the same way.
My in-laws grabbed her, put her in a Sixers onesie and an Eagles onesie and Eagles diapers.
She's my favorite.
And next thing you know, my daughter's a diehard Eagles fan.
That's right.
And I'm like, man, I lost that one. So when my son was born, I made sure everything was Knicks and Jets.
Right.
I got him.
Right.
I got the next one.
Right.
And then Anthony's a Yankee fan. And doesn't care much about the other sports all that much. But yeah, that's like your dad's job.
Right.
Right now. I went against my dad, but growing up in New York, you have choices. Right. In Philly, you don't have those choices.
You don't have a choice. In Cleveland, you don't have a choice. Miami.
New York, Chicago, LA, the only place you got choices. So 8 years ago today, the world changed. Are you in favor of it or not?
We are going to be strapped with a whole lot of bad football, watching mediocre teams that have absolutely no business in the postseason getting blown off the field by the elite heavyweights, all for our viewing pleasure. They are even willing to trample right over the historic Army-Navy game, which apparently, we'll figure out at one point where we can play this game.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I don't blame David Stearns at all for looking at the team and saying, hey, look, with this high payroll and with all the players we have, Donnie, they have not won anything. They did not even get in the postseason last year. So they're like, all right, let's break it up and try something new. But their new plan has not worked. It doesn't look good on paper. It doesn't look good in the standings. Even if the Mets were to play okay the rest of the season, I think their season is a wrap.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all four.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
Betting growth was up about 40% year over year in March, so some of that obviously was the NCAA tournament, but a lot of that is because DraftKings and FanDuel were coming to town and bringing a lot of money with them. It was about $87 million was bet in the month of March, which is not only a March record, but it's a record for Arkansas in general. And it was really interesting to note, too, DraftKings and FanDuel were only active for about 12 days.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
back to the Craig Carton Show. Craig's been a little under the weather. Listen, hazard pay today for all of us, because that's what happens. When Craig gets sick, we get extra money.
It was
That's
bad
how it
milk.
goes. Listen, we get the extra money.
It was bad milk.
Those are the rules, okay?
I'm not sick.
Listen, I don't make the rules. Once it leaves the body, either direction, it's hazard pay for all of us. That's how it goes. Listen,
it
it goes
was
into
bad
the check.
milk. I shouldn't have had hot chocolate in May. I own it.
Well, listen.
My mistake. I own it.
I had compassion for you.
You don't sound like a
I have a lot of
compassionate guy.
compassion for you.
Hey, by the way, remember yesterday where I showed you that video of the gal who had that like shelf ass?
Yeah.
And we weren't sure if she was sitting or standing.
Yeah, I do remember.
And and I said I got to ask my main man out in California, L Dub.
Yeah.
He reached out to me yesterday, and he said both. He said the ass is sitting, but the woman is standing.
Yeah. Now
he also said that's a fake ass.
Now it is. Now for people out there that Wayne has been around it all. Okay, he's lived a life. Wayne throughout the years, he's been very famous. Been out in L.A., etc. You see, the thighs don't match the ass. You see, she got the big old
Nor
ass.
does the belly.
Right. Well, you don't have to have a belly. There are women with a big old booty, with a flat stomach.
Like Kim Kardashian.
But that happens from exercise. Glutes are very popular, the exercise. But you see her thighs, though, too thin to go with that. The thighs must match. Okay, and that's your tell. If the thighs don't match, it's fake. And
I just wanted to thank Lil Wayne for getting back to me on that.
Yeah.
He said that's nouveau booty is what that is. And the booty needed a rest.
That's right.
She wants to go work out. The booty's like, not today, sweetheart.
Not right now. She's just going to talk about what these girls are going to do in the yoga class, and et cetera. You know, stabilize.
I apologize. I'm trying my damnedest right now not to run back to the bathroom.
That's all right.
I am trying, and I apologize to you, Tyrone.
No,
because I was like, you take over this segment? Now here I am, blabbing away about that big ass that's resting on a table side.
Now, I know that's not your type of woman. I know that's not your type of woman.
By the way, she might be a very attractive gal.
Yeah.
I just can't handle all that ass.
Yeah.
That's just not for me. Like, if I wanted to date Hollis Thomas, I would.
Oh, my God, Hollis.
Yeah.
Hollis.
But I'm not like, no, thank you. I'm not Brent Selleck's ex-wife.
No. And they seem to be very happy. Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. Bad for Brent Selleck. Because you know full well that she's telling Hollis Thomas, you're so much better than Brent.
Right. Now.
That's what they do.
Right. But I think that
Which is why I'm just saying this. You better have a strong game. Because if you lose your woman to a teammate, you know full well at some point, Hollis is going to say to her, was it better with Brent?
Okay.
That's how dudes act.
Right, but that's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
You better be very confident. You better know the answer when you ask that question.
Yes, you got to be strong in that game.
Because if she responds with anything other than a resounding yes.
Yeah, you're so much better than Brent was.
But what if she
Brent didn't know how to make me happy.
But what if she hit you with it's just different?
Oh,
that's a loss.
Then I got to move along.
That's what I'm saying. That's a big loss.
I got to move along just for self-respect at that point.
Yes, for people that don't know, Hollis Thomas is a former Eagle, and Brent Selleck, an ex-Eagle, and now
I'm not sure if they played together.
No, they didn't cross over.
But it's
they
still,
know
it's
each other.
kind of like.
Yeah,
were you in a fraternity at all?
I wasn't.
All right, so let's just say you were in a fraternity, Sigma Nu.
I went to many of her parties.
Yeah,
many a party. I saw those.
But
things.
like, I don't know, just name a fraternity. I don't know, name a fraternity. I don't know, Sigma Chi, Sigma Nu, Sigma U. I don't know what the hell it's called.
Yeah.
Lambda. Whatever fraternity you want. Like, you can't, like, aren't there rules, like a brotherhood rules?
There's brotherhood rules.
Isn't there a brotherhood rule in the NFL? Like, look, I might complain about her.
Mm-hmm.
She might be a pain in my ass, but you can't touch it.
Right, but there's no rule like that in the NBA. Because did you see that photo with Kim Kardashian and her roster?
Yeah, it's a lot of dudes.
I mean, from Chris Humphries on.
It is a lot of dudes. But I'm glad you brought up the NBA. There's a guy in the NBA. Look, I'm a fan. All right. I also love the guy who's a throwback to better times in our country. Better times for us as people.
Okay.
Better times for how we engage with athletes and sports in this country. And he's a throwback to better times. He's a throwback to an era when athletes were not all about me. And, and doing podcasts and all the other nonsense that athletes do today, which is well within their right. Good for them. I don't begrudge them making the money at all. But there's not a lot of these guys left. It's a dying breed, sadly. And I'm just fortunate and blessed that one of those dying breeds plays for my. Look at that charcuterie board. Nice job, fellas.
That's nice. The cheese, well cut there.
I couldn't eat a piece of cheese now if you paid
I'm going to go out there and get a piece of that.
Yeah, go get some Havarti dill.
Yes.
Yeah, Tyron's bougie with the cheese.
I'm very bougie with my cheese in 2026.
Anyhow, I want to show you a video of Jalen Brunson from yesterday.
Oh, boy.
And as much as you hate the Knicks, rightfully so, and we took over your building, I want to give you this because this is like Derek Jeter type stuff, all right? This is Hall of Fame type stuff. I don't know if we have the question or not. If we don't, he's asked about kind of the way the Knicks have kind of found their mojo.
Yeah.
Right? And part of that is him giving the ball up. And he was asked about what it's like being a star and giving the ball up. Watch this.
Some stars might push back. They're used to having the ball in their hands. And might take it as maybe a slight, but it doesn't sound like you did. Why was that something that you would so happily go?
One, I'm not a star. Two, I want to win.
Bang! End of conversation. Deadpan, no emotion. One, I'm not a star. Two, I want to win. Next question. That's a throwback to a better era of athletes in this country. And I'm just blessed and fortunate that guy, that superstar, that great player, that greatest trade the Knicks have ever made, plays for my team. You ain't got that in Philadelphia.
Yeah, listen, I got a bridge.
Ask Joel Embiid that. He'll talk about, this, that, the other.
No, he wouldn't. He never been asked the question. That's ridiculous. Now, the other part is I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. All right? The lying that happened right there that y'all eat up. I'm not a star. What are you talking about? You're not a star. You're set to make all this extra money.
He's a lunch pail guy.
No, he's not.
That's a blue-collar guy.
That's not
right
a blue-collar guy.
Took less money to play for the Knicks.
Yeah, with the promise of getting all that money back on the back end.
Brought the Knicks to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not a star. I just want to win.
Now, the second
I'm making a shirt out of that.
And let's not act like athletes today. They all want to win. They want to win.
Not all of them. Joel Embiid don't want to win.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
He does. And wasn't he a free agent? Was it a trade?
It was a trade.
Who did they trade?
It's a trade.
I thought it was a free agent.
So, who's a free agent?
But either way, right, I don't like Jalen Brunson. I want to be on the record. I didn't like that at all. You can love it. I hate it. Fake modesty.
That's not fake modesty. That's
modesty,
who that dude is.
Fake hustle.
I'll give you an example. I know you have all those properties down in the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
That dude's got a house down the shore.
He does.
Does that guy stay in his own property in the backyard? No. That dude with his family carrying coolers and folding chairs on the beach with the people. Jalen Brunson, I love you, man.
back to the Craig Carton Show. Craig, as you see, preparing to exit, had a little food poisoning, unfortunately. He's trying to keep it together. Let's hope he'll be fine for tomorrow's show. But the PGA Championship, one of the 4 majors, has begun in the Philadelphia area. In fact, ESPN used my boy Big Dom for the video to introduce everybody to the city. But, of course, the biggest name in golf was missing from the tournament, because Tiger Woods apparently has just gotten back from Zurich as part of his rehab. He got off the plane with his dog. TMZ has the footage. It's all out there now. And I really have to think about this with the Tiger Woods thing, because we're talking about those mega athletes like Michael Jordan, like LeBron James, those athletes that are bigger than life. And Tiger Woods was as big, by far the most famous golfer ever, and he's missing time where he should be playing, unfortunately, because it appears that he has a drug problem. And this is what really puts me in a tough spot. Tiger Woods is 50 years old now. His winning days are far behind him, but he's by far the most important figure in the sport, and he has not been a good ambassador for the sport in certain ways because he can't get himself together. Does Tiger Woods recognize the responsibility now that he has to his sport, the sport that has made him a lot of money? Tiger Woods is famous because of the game of golf. It's not because of his personality. It's not because of anything else. It's because he was great at golf, and all those factors happened to make him an international superstar. But now when he's missing, and not even at the tournament, to talk about the tournament, to not be that great ambassador for the sport, does he realize that he hurts the sport? Because I know a lot of you out here that are golf fans will absolutely be tuning in and watching. I had tickets. I had opportunity to go. To be honest with you, I didn't want to watch golf for 2 days. It's not for me, so I'm not going. So I ended up parting with my tickets. But it's one of the 4 majors, and Tiger Woods needs to be a part of it, more than Phil Mickelson, more than anybody else. Does Tiger Woods recognize the responsibility he has to the sport that made him rich? And it's one of these things that always bothers me when, for example, there are certain athletes, I won't say any names, but I know downstairs they'll know some of them, baseball players that are jerks to the media the entire time they play. And the moment they retire, then they become part of the media. They don't recognize that there's a certain responsibility to the fans and to the sports. Okay, there's a certain responsibility. And Tiger Woods, in addition to the personal failure, because what happened with his wife, what happened with his children having to see this, he also has a responsibility to his game, to the sport of golf. We know he's the biggest figure. I hope for both Tiger Woods' sake and for the game of golf, he can get himself together, because if he can't, this could end up being a tragic story, because 50 is old for an athlete, but 50 is not old for life. Tiger Woods could have 30, 40 more years of life. He might be honored in a way we may have never seen before because of what he did for the growth of golf. But if he can't get himself together, one, I don't know that many people with a drug problem that live a long time. So that's the first part. And the second part, you're becoming an embarrassment. How many cars are you going to flip? So let's hope that Tiger Woods has himself together, okay? Yes, now, speaking of the PGA Championship, my city, Philadelphia, does things correct all the time. Now, look at what fans did to have their home near the golf course to make sure they'll be able to see. Look at this right here. Look at this. Look at those guys. Look at that little party deck. Now, there's already people hating on it. This is what Philadelphia does, okay? We have to be, people who think on the fly and find a way to benefit, to maximize our enjoyment. As long as those guys are quiet, I think they need to leave it alone. There's already fans out there, because golf is golf, hating on it left and right, saying that they need that. Now, another thing I want to get to before we get out of here. I'm a big believer in prenups are prenups, okay? If you sign the prenup, that's it. And I'm also uncomfortable a lot of times when people can take half the money, more than half the money. Usher's ex-wife, they were talking about when Kobe went through his stuff. You weren't shooting in the gym, but Carl Pavano's wife, if the story is true, then she needs to be able to get all the money in the world. Apparently, Carl Pavano, former Yankee, former MLB pitcher, was not only urinating on the sheets and doing dirty things in the sheets so she would get into a dirty bed, he was also peeing in her shampoo bottle and stuff. I'm going to say this, nasty-ass Carl Provano. If you did the things that she's alleging, and we have not heard his side of the story yet, but if this story is true, then she should not only get half your money, she should get more than half your money. There needs to be a nasty clause in any prenup. If you don't wash your nasty ass, if you got your pee going everywhere other than the toilet, unless you have consent, then you need to lose and void everything in that prenup. I feel so bad for the former Mrs. Provano. I really feel for her. Thank you so much for watching the Craig Carton Show. We'll be back at it tomorrow where we'll be finally getting closer to the Knicks' next opponent.